Hi everyone, this is just an update where I'm with this tool here. I managed to get Bitmaps working finally, so I'm just going to run this to make sure it still works. I've been making and breaking a lot of things. Hopefully this isn't broken. Yeah, so I've got the Bitmaps working after a day and a half worth of pain. Just little things kept tripping me up. But got them loading now, but I don't think it's working right with sprites yet. I'm still trying to suss out Vic banks and where sprites can go and just stuff that you just don't think about. Like, so again, like I say, I'm learning stuff as I go here. I'm picking up the information as I need to. I'm looking at all these, like the memory maps of the Commodore. Like, that's why I put this down here, because like there's certain areas that you shouldn't touch. I've got these flashing red. I know you can sometimes turn things on and off, but I'll do that later. Just now there's a lot of kind of free space that I can use. You can at least change the position of bitmaps and stuff, and same with sprites. You can change where they would be loaded into. I'm not too sure about this link. I thought it would be a good idea initially. Let's see, that's gone corrupt because of the way the data's been handled. I'm trying to make it a bit dynamic, but I need to watch that I don't then overwrite other data. So I'm trying to make it straightforward as possible. So what I have to make this up, basically, if I press F9, I'll clear everything. So I'll bring in a bitmap node, and it's like waiting now for an actual bitmap in case you want to swap it out. So you bring in this second node. Now I'm thinking of just make it in part of it. There's no reason for me to have this as a second thing here, other than the address that you declare where it's getting loaded into. Now I found out that the screen color RAM or whatever it is, the screen colors are kind of hard coded at D800, I think. It actually tells you there, yeah, hard coded here. So it transfers the data that you load in for that color to that location, and then in a way that part of what you've loaded in is kind of like, you know, ready to be used. I think that's right. Now I'm working on some visual optimizations, because I found out that if I add like too many of these nodes, you see I get 60 frames per second here, but as soon as I add like a second one, it sort of jumps down. The reason it goes really low is because it reconstructs the image here based on the data coming in. It turns it into like a surface, and then if you change the size of the screen or anything like that, if you maximize or whatever, it rebuilds it again. So it's a bit laggy at first, but I'm trying to make it so it's not updating real time, and I think that's to do with the linkage. It's trying to see what the closest node is to connect to. In fact, it should be trying to connect to that, and that for that theory, but yeah, it seems to be broken as well. So it only needs to be sort of linked with one. So there's no point me actually making this a separate asset, especially with bitmaps. You're just going to load it in. So the problem with me is I'm not really thinking on how the Commodore works. I'm thinking of how I've worked with other applications, that you load in an image and then you put it into an object and you move the object. So with the Commodore, you're kind of just loading it into RAM and then fetching it or like displaying it, sort of thing. That to me is a different mindset. So if I load in a bunch of sprites, a whole bank of sprites, then I'm just referencing like sprite 1, 2, 3, like it's already there. So I'm loading them all in first. So that's what this big pink area is basically this bitmap. So yeah, I think I'll just, like, you know, make it part of like this sort of thing, and then you just load it in, and it just does what it needs to do there, and you can change the address of it, whatever. But it will kind of just be part of this, but it won't be like the data is right after it in the program, in the code. It needs to live somewhere. You see it like 6,000 is kind of good for it. I think 8000 might be good for it as well, but you need to watch that it doesn't start to encroach on different things like basic ROM or anything like that. So you can try things like that. I'm sure there's someone who knows what they're doing could tell me, what the best thing is or what I might be doing wrong, because this is all kind of new to me, but this is the way I'm going to learn, right? See that the reason that actually broke was you need a little self-contained loop to keep it running. So you add in a label there and then jump to the label, so it's like a core game loop. So I usually call it like game loop or loop or main or whatever you want to call it. And then all your core code would go in between here. You don't have to work all the way down all the time, like down. You can add like these org blocks in. So if you wanted, you could even just make that there and that there. So that's just you initializing the game with a bitmap that might say welcome to this game, a pretty bitmap saying start the game, and then it could just carry on to the core loop is just waiting for a fire button or whatever. So yeah, you can use these org blocks, and these are movable. You see, you've got this scan area where they find their neighbor, and then they inherit the address. You can turn that off, in which case you can then set where you want it to start. So it could be its own little unique block of code, and you see that ends up there. So so as soon as you bring it into proximity and you check that, it'll inherit the next address. So it's kind of like it's flowing like that. So you can basically code down the way, like if you were typing normal code, and you can type across the way as well. You can code across the way. The other thing that I introduced was these the boxes. So you click and drag, and you could call that something like initial setup and core loop. Core, right? It's only got so many letters, but you can change the color of that to whatever you want, and then it just makes that a bit readable. And what I want to introduce later is if you press spacebar, it'll come up a list of all these blocks, and you could just sort of pick one, and the camera would just sort of it would just sort of go shoom and zoom to it, and that way you've got full kind of navigation of your code. So it's kind of node code. It's part node, part code. It's like a stack system. It kind of reads more like line by line. In Unreal Engine, you get these spaghetti nodes everywhere, and it's really hard to read. You have to follow these lines around, and of course you can do these big comment blocks. So this is kind of a hybrid between line by line coding, which I like, and node based coding, which I don't mind. After a while of doing things like material shaders in Unreal, or using things like Amplify shader, or even Unreal's node-based scripting. So yeah, so this is kind of the way this is kind of like good for beginners, is because like something like music, if you look at the code here, this is all the instructions needed to make it's like a music player. This is everything that it does. So I made sure to document all this so that it kind of makes some sort of sense if you're learning it, what it does. So on purpose it will set the background black, because what it does is actually sets a kind of flash here as well, just to show you that it's working. It's almost like a little graphic equalizer, if you like, and obviously that can be changed later. You don't have to have these in there. So what I would do is introduce like a checkbox to that actual macro, and say flashing checkbox, or what color, fancy effects. I could put all that into this, and it would just build the PRG file with that code in there. It would just be like internally, it'd be like an if statement. If the user checked this box, then parse this bunch of code along with the PRG, so that it enters that bit of code in, and it would carry that out in its own little kind of interrupt. So it also tells you what it does. I'm just set with a raster interrupt request. Music player clears all the SID registers, initializes chosen track, redirects the kernel. So yeah, there's a track selection here, so you can choose whatever track it might be, and there's also like a track selector here that will interact with any the music that's in here. I think you can only have one, only one music macro, so the music track will basically be part of that. But what I'll do is just do a checkbox control by keys, instead of being a macro track. So that all these little things that I introduce, I'll eventually boil them down and combine them into one thing, and just have in the back end, it just sort of checks if you want that or not. That way it's not a big giant program of stuff you don't need. It only builds what it needs. So I'm at that stage where I'm kind of like, do I carry on, or do I start to refine what I've done and get a good foot forward with it? And I think that's what I should do, is just everything that's working now is get that as solid as possible and kind of boil off all the badness and just get it solid. So do another pass over everything. It's kind of how I work, is get something working, go over it, tidy it up, make sure I understand what's happening, and make sure it works with everything else. That's kind of where I'm at just now, is does this work with the sprites, does it work with the music, does it work with everything else, the joystick, does things fight with each other, especially with zero page, which I've found out there's things in zero page I don't know where the music one is, but if I bring in a music one, this one, if I bring in this, I don't have it anymore, but I used to have it where it would show the zero page that it would be using to do a thing, right? I still don't know exactly what it does, but there's certain values in zero page that sort of fight, and they were fighting with the joystick needing updated, and that was a complete nightmare. It took me all day to figure it out. Again, I'm approaching this with a kind of, I don't know how everything works, but I'm learning through reading stuff as I need it, as I need to know stuff. It gives me a reason to go and find out that information, in other words. So I'm learning on the job. So yeah, you can do that. I'm hoping to make this also take these with it, but it obviously won't work with the system, in that needs to live where it is. So you would only kind of use this for org blocks, like that. So you put your org block in there, and then this could go with it. But the only thing is with org blocks is they have a proxy, but I think that only updates. It's already kind of I think once it's got the address, it's got the address. It just fetches the address. So it's kind of like if you have this switched off and you put in some rubbish in there like that, and you want to get the proper address, you just check that now, and then that's it, it's got it, right? It doesn't matter where you move it, but if it's joined to this and it hits another spine, then it's going to pick up there. So you might want to just hardcode. It's just a way of getting the address where it continues. You can set it to anything you want if you know where you're programming, and you can see all the sort of markers down here. I need to tidy that up a bit. So yeah, lots of things are working, lots of things are also not working. Let's see, I was trying to get sprites to work with music, and suddenly that stopped working. So with music, you actually need an exit point, because inside the music it jumps out into your main code, and I've got something in there that relies on that. Otherwise, it kind of gets trapped. So because I'm finding these, if you look at the code, I'm finding a lot of this information and then putting it in and then changing stuff. It's like seeing if it works, just on a chance it works, and then debugging it until it works. So it's not perfect. I would really like for someone to kind of look over it and probably tear their guts out with the problems that it's got. But these things are they needs to be refined. A lot of refinement happening. I just want everything to be in place first, like character sets working, fonts working, and then get them to work together. And then I can start to make these bigger macros that are move an enemy in certain ways, a bit like shoot 'em up construction kit, if you've ever played that, where you could get enemies to sort of burst fire 8 directions, or they only shot in one direction, or they shot randomly, and certain kind of movement patterns. But it won't just be shoot 'em ups. You could basically do any kind of game with this. It is almost you're basically coding in assembly when you see that you've got all these instructions that work. But what I'm doing is making these macros to make it a little bit easier. Like if you look at the sprite one, it's not as crazy. It tells you what it does here. And things will make more sense as things go on. Like you know, the Vic sprite is the one of the 8 sprites that you use, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can only allowed 8 unless you multiplex. And then someone's asked, can you know, will it support multiplexing? And I'm like, yeah, later once I've got everything else in, because there's much more core things, getting the joystick working and stuff like that. I'm going to boot this because I think it should work. I forget where I had everything here, but there's a broken version and there's a working version that actually needs the sprites put in. I'll just cancel that. It needs to be linked there. Yeah, there's a lot of experiments here as well. It's sort of a working version, yeah, sort of a broken version as well. There is a working version of this, but because I've been doing a lot of things today, I've broken some other stuff, especially with bitmaps, which I'm going to try and figure out. Like the bitmaps load, the bitmaps are fine. In fact, there's no bitmaps actually in this one. Oh, and it's crashed. The whole thing's, yeah, the whole thing's crashed up. So that's something. Yeah, it's just froze. Don't know why. Let's see if I build that again. Oh no, it's came back. Don't know why it froze like that. But anyway, so this one doesn't quite work. I think. Let me just show open there. Let's see if there's one that's. Try that one, see if it works. Thing is, I'm working on my laptop a lot, and I'm working on my PC, so I'm constantly like bouncing off these files. Yeah, this is a broken one as well. It's supposed to play the music and stuff, but it's not this one. It's a different one. And I'm working on the laptop a lot because I can get more done at night time. So I'm at my PC just now, and I'm actually working on the bitmaps. Updating, and a lot of these files are just older experimental ones. So if you go on the itch page though, let me bring that up. Yeah, itch dashboard. Okay, so this is the itch page that I've made for it, and there's a demo here which is a stable demo. So you can download either the zip or the exe. I like the zip because it's just in a folder, you don't have to install anything. So download now. Say no thanks. No thanks means it will just take you to the demo version. If you do want to give me $5, you get it forever, right? It's just version 0.51 and up. 0.5 is stable, but it doesn't have the bitmap in yet. And a few other features that will obviously come. So I'm just going to download the zip, and full of joy because I'm trying to get the joystick working, and when it worked I was full of joy. So you see I've already downloaded these, so let me just see where I've put them. Yeah, that one, yeah, I can see them. So that's it there. Yeah, the full screen, I think I changed this one. Let me just check OBS isn't working out, because yeah, when I go full screen it does. I had a feeling that might be the case. Yeah, it's completely gone. There we go. Right, so I'll load downloads, full of joy. Right, this one should work. I mean, it's yeah, see there's no bitmap in there. F5. I think it's the famous commando test that I've been doing quite a lot, but I've now got my SpeedLink joystick. Oh, it's, I don't know if that's part of the problem. I had it on the wrong speed. Right, there should be sound coming from it. my audio's messed up. LG. I have no idea why there's no sound. Controls. I mean, it's showing sound. Oh, there is sound. My speakers were too low. I can actually see it there. So yeah, that all works. And then the joystick obviously works if you have to boot it, put the joystick in, then boot it. So let me just exit and then F5 to redo that. I'm shattered because I'm so addicted to working on this project that it's burning me out, and I don't actually mind. My eyes were like so red yesterday. It was ridiculous. So, alright, that should be, yeah. There we go. So getting the joystick working was a ball ache. I've got that working, got music, got a sprite showing. Yeah, that's all working nice. So if I did want to add like another sprite, what I was want to do is add the high res one, but I saw there was a problem. So let's see, sprite. So bring that, hack that into there. Yeah, there was a problem with it where it wasn't inheriting the multicolor or the single color of the chosen frame. So like frame 22, if I put in frame 22 here, oh no, yeah, it changes both to high res because it's taking it from the whole thing. Like, see, it changes to multicolor, but yeah, I'm using 2. So what I would have to do is basically load the sprite in twice just for a second. I fixed this since, right? I have fixed this, but to make this work just now, this is what I would have to do. There's a lot of things wrong with this because I've added that. I need to make all these nodes go down. So that's why it makes sense for me to just build these into the... There's no point having them like separate things. I've realised that now. It's creating a lot of confusion here. It looks cool, but it was just something that I thought, oh, that'd be cool. But it's making it more messy. And there's no real point to having it as a separate thing, really. So I'm going to build all these into nodes. I'm going to spend the week doing that. So yeah, it just means it will take longer to get it to a point, but it'll be better. It'll be easier to use, right? So my 2 sprites. So I'm going to then re-import the same sprite, which isn't really an overhead. Anyway, it's just going to like re-overwrite the same thing, and it's just to show you something. It's just to show you that you can overlay the sprites, I think. And find where my cat is. So please say I've got the city cat sprites on this. Do you know where they are? They're in my in here somewhere. So city cat, where are you? Design. I'll come back to city cat at some point. I often distract myself with things. This is it's a good thing and a bad thing. Right. So that is what I want. I don't have the city cat sprites.txt. I don't have the same sprites here because I put them in the wrong place. New cat 2. Yeah, I mean that'll do it, right? That works. So multicolor's off. So that would then be sprite 1. As long as it's in the same place, it will draw this, then draw this, in theory. Set globals no, because they'll get them from that one. Right, so it's going to load I don't think it's any big deal. We're just going to buffer the sprites over and above. We should hopefully... Yeah, it's broken. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see if I can poke the background in case I can see it. Poke it with and E and store that into DO21, I think. Hopefully I don't do that elsewhere. Oh, I saw something that disappeared. Let's just played that, drawn that twice. Oh, because that's, yeah, it's a bit of a mess. That's now got linked to that. I'm definitely going to build everything in. I've been thinking about it on and off. Why do I need it as a separate thing? So that will make it easier to use. It's a bit annoying just now because I'm at that point where I'm happy that it's kind of working and stuff, but now I realise I have to do a lot of house cleaning, and it'll be better in the long run. Like, this is a slightly broken version, this demo, but it gets you into it. You can do stuff. You could potentially make a game with it because you've got sprites, you've got joystick, you can print text, you can play music, you can do a V-weight as well. So yeah, basically how it's working is it's flowing down this way, and then this OR block is picked up where it's left off at 0937. Address labels don't cost anything, right? They're not code, they're just used for, it's kind of like you would do the asterisk if you were doing it in, it's like a start point for the bit of code, and then your assets are sort of buffered in the end. So that's basically what's happening there. Oh yeah, I would have to say that's sprite 0, isn't it? And I'd have to say that's sprite 24. Oh no, that's the big sprites. Idiot. Frame 24, frame 0. That's probably what's happened. Sprite 1. Let's just try that again. There's a few muck-ups with these bits, but yeah, I just need to get that down to. I've lost one of them. I've got more macro prints than I need. Is that one just a clear screen? Oh, I don't know. I'm lost. I swear there was another one, but it's disappeared. I think I put it in by accident. That's the second line. That's the top line. Then that should be there. Why is that there? Oh, the joystick thing. Oh, that's there. I forget why that's even there. Let's go and get rid of that. I must have been showing you guys something. But anyway, let's go back to that. Yes, shown it twice. That's all working. The sprite, I see a sprite there, but it's just drawn that one. Oh yeah, because I need to enable both. That's something I was going to automate that. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. So you have to put 3 into DO15, I think it is, because you're enabling like the first two switches, sprite 1 and sprite 2. So 1 plus 2, 3. To DO15. That should do it, hopefully. DO15. Right. Okay, that's there. That's, yeah. This definitely needs to be redone. This is too messy. I'll play a different tune when it starts. There we go. Got a sprite. Can I poke anything? 5, 3, 2, 8, 1. Go. Let's not let me do it. So something keeps it in the background black somewhere. Maybe it's DO2. Let me just check that. So it's the music one. Where's the music happening? So sprite, print, the music. The music does it. So what I'll do is do this after the music. Yeah. So I'll just move all these down. That's the nice bit about this coding, is like you can just move them down. It would be good if I could grab a bunch and then drag them down, so that would be even better. So yep, and then it would carry on, and all the addresses update as you change stuff here. It will update automatically there. It's already using proxy. If I didn't have that on and I changed this, see this is 1E and that just stays there. You have to switch that on. See how it changed now. 1E plus 2 bytes is 20, and then pop that in there. It updates automatically. So you need to have that checked, that proxy thing. I really like these org blocks. That's something that I'm quite proud of that I got working. Right, so let's try now. That might be the border. Forget which is which. My brain's frazzled. Can't even remember what the border one is. Let's do that again. Right. Yeah, this is way too messy to work if you're working dynamically like that and moving things around. That's a bad design choice, so I will definitely just embed the data into the node. That's the way forward, because it's all moving about. I mean, I was going to just say like make the nodes stay with it, but there's no point in them being separate things. Just have the asset built into it. Right, that. Change that to 1. Something is reset in the background. I'm just assuming it's the music. But let's try that. I just want to see if I can see these sprites. See if I've done them right. I should be able to see something. I should see the sprite underneath. Again, I'm not able to see anything. I can see a bit of a sprite there, right? But I'm not seeing both of them. So I don't really know what I've done wrong here. Go into high res, frame 0. Switch that one as well. Yeah, this is all a bit of a hack. I need to make everything work properly, and these are like the kind of tests that I have to do, so that's why it takes a while to get anything done. Yeah, so it's not showing that one. But if you can make a game with this, good luck. But definitely you can do like a joystick test, right? And this would be your core loop. You would put in a hold down L. This is the old one's L, but I've changed it back to A for address label. It just feels better that it's on the left there. Use a lot of these, right? So you would call that your game loop, right? Shit, I forget now. Let me just go back to that previous one. Jason's full of joy. So yeah, you need the label joy done, and then jump back to the game loop. So it's basically the fallback is joy done, but it needs to be a label. If it's not a label, this will break, because it might be like if you're not pressing the joystick that you want to do some stuff. I was just going to let it slip through, like the stuff happens under here, but because of the way I've structured this, it's like everything needs to be a label, because I just feel like it would be important to know what has happened when the joysticks just came out of moving or something like that, as a subroutine. So that's why I use these address labels. These are all branches. They all branch. In fact, I changed these to trampolines, they call them. So in case like your subroutine is far away in code, you're only allowed like so many bytes, give or take, like 128 bytes or something either way of a branch for it to work. Because for a while I was like, why is it not working? So the more I read into it, it's like, okay, well you can use a trampoline where it just jumps to, it goes to something that just makes it go to that point, but it's just right next door to it, so it's like a trampoline, they call it, boing. It's quite interesting. So the stuff you discover, and that's what it's all about for me. Is like I'm discovering this stuff as I make this, and I'm using my core code skills in GameMaker that I've built up for the last 2 decades to do this is really interesting for me, because I do want to make Commodore games from like the ground up. I would love to just go in and like start writing assembly code, but there's nothing really left after that. And every game I'd have to write, I'm starting from the ground up, proper old school. But because I've been sort of, it's not like in the 80s or 70s or 80s you were kind of indoctrinated into basic and machine code and that's all you knew, right? I've been indoctrinated into Unreal Engine, Unity, shaders, Game Maker. I've made loads of tools, so that's my kind of backbone, which makes me want to make something like this. So it's a different mindset from your usual why aren't you doing it just raw. Sure, I could do that, but I'm not really benefiting more people with anything. It's just me. I'm only benefiting me, and I think like I like to benefit people with tools. Are they shortcuts? Sure. Do they take away learning something fundamental? Sure, it does. But would you rather get the plane to your holiday destination, or would you rather drive there? It's more like if you want to get places, you want to like use tools. We all use tools all the time these days to make stuff happen, because that really is annoying. So that's why I wanted to make this, and I'm going to improve it. It's very kind of clanky right now. It's like that kind of version, and I will give you a better updated demo at some point as well. I'm kind of like chase a bit. So the demo is basically a good working version, but it might just be missing a feature. It won't be broken though, but it will be like, at least you can get into it and try stuff. And it might be that it's always kind of chasing the paid version, because I do want to make this like a money making thing where I can just like put more time into it. I've put, must be near enough 200 hours into this, maybe more, 250 hours or so into getting it to this stage, and it's been intense. But most of it's just been like finding something, put it in, find something, put it in, and then try to make it make sense together. It's not the right way to work, but I'm learning through what's working, what's not, what I need to do, what I need to change. That's the thing I was talking about there. 0 point for the macro joy so that it would work. So you can actually change that, which that was a ball ache to figure out. There was something else wrong that had a knock-on effect, and I was blaming this for a while, and then nothing was getting done because it was something else, and it was a typo here, and it was a missing opcode there, and it's just, just tear your hair out. But this is definitely going in the right direction. Trust me. Yeah, all this stuff here. Yeah, I'm just going to build that in. Why not? It can just be written there. You just click there and you can change what it says. The sprite, it can just live there, right? So click it, change it, import new sprite. It just has to be there. I'll have a checkbox like import, and then like from there, any other one would be like an echo. It will just be like echo existing sprite, or import a new one. Choose the location where it's going to go. I'll make all that work. Same with the music. It's just going to be import SID. It'll come up the details there, a little import button. That'd be great. And it will all just work there. Nothing. We don't need these links and these floating things. They can all. Something that I wanted to just do is make it a bit gamified by just right clicking and things kind of explode. Maybe I'll do a sound effect. Maybe that'll be annoying. But if you drag these things off far enough, they'll become disconnected and you can blow them up like that. But it should be more like this. Get out of there. If you can't get rid of it, just throw them into the shelf. He'll disappear that way. It should be more like that, right? Much more tidy. And I don't know if I've got the boxes in here. No, this is an older version, but I've not brought in the boxes yet. But you can press C, do a whole bunch of comments, and press F1, and it'll clean them up. anything that's not got a connection, and you press F1, it should clean it up. Right, so yeah, that's that. Long way to go. This is only the first month of kind of like working on this. I'd been planning it for a while actually. I've been planning making an editor for a long time, but I was going to make it as a template that just imitated Commodore graphics, and it wouldn't have been runnable on a Commodore. It would have just have been a PC thing to look like Commodore graphics. But then I was like, okay, but people might want 16-bit graphics to look more like Amiga, and then I would have to make all these editors run about it. So I think I was just like, maybe I can just learn machine code and make something like a shoot 'em up construction kit or Boulder Dash construction kit, where people can just make stuff, like make these templates. But then I realized, well, in order to do that, I need to make it run really fast, so I need to learn machine code to make that happen. And I've been reluctant to use existing IDEs like C64 Studio or Commodore CBM Studio or whatever they're called, or Kick-Ass. I just feel lost with those things, and that's only because I don't know anything right now. Right, I could immerse myself into that, but I'll just be so bogged down that I'm not really giving people anything back. I'm not bouncing off anyone in an interest in me. Yeah, sure, I could ask friends like, what's this bit of code, but they'll give me the solution, I'll paste it in, I'll feel like I'm not learning anything. And it's been a bit like that with this. I find things online, I paste it in, and I don't really know yet, but because I'm making it work and making it work with other things, and it's all on me to make it work, to make this tool, I'll learn a lot more. And eventually I'll be like, okay, well, I know how all this works. I could probably code this now, I could probably code stuff, but I'm learning from kind of like a reverse engineering sort of way, where I've got this tool that I want to make, and I need to learn machine code in order for it to work, and that would benefit everyone. Obviously there'll be some nuances here and there where it might break, but that's where I'm going to get really involved in it. I do so much testing, make sure everything works with everything. Anything that's like memory overlapping, like I've already kind of like tried to work on that. So if I don't know if I have it in this, but if you have like I think it's a newer version, if you have a bit of code over another bit of code or whatever, like and if I put in an OR block, for example, and I put in 940, which is already been used, this would flash, and so would this would flash because it's using 0940. So these two would flash. It actually works in the newer version. These are fine-tuned a bit, but they two would flash so you're clashing, like the memory's clashing, and it happens with the assets and all that stuff as well. So there's all that stuff. Again, this is kind of organic the way it's changing. It might change again, maybe not too dramatically. I might do like a graphics overhaul. I might just change the way the assets work, where it's just like a list of like sprites, music, and bitmaps, and you basically then just choose them, because you can have multiple ones loaded in, and then you can pick them from like a drop down. That might make more sense to me, so you don't have to load them in like on the node. I don't know. There's different ways that I could try things out, but I'd like for people to play it as well, like to tell me their suggestions, but maybe it's just too early for people to give their feedback as well. But yeah, this is just an update to show you where I'm at with everything, and where it's going to go and stuff like that. I'm sure it's going to be helpful for some people that just want to tinker with machine code without having to learn it or get their hands too dirty too soon. But there'll be these templates that are built in that you can learn from, and I'm sure all these other IDEs are like that. The text-based ones, they're all like that. I'm not doing anything much different from them, and if that's the kind of thing that you prefer, that's all good. I'll be happy to make a game using this tool myself. Quite happy to code this way, but it's not for everyone. and that's not really what I'm trying to do, is make a tool for everyone to use. I'm just making a tool for me that could help other people that are like me, that don't know anything about machine code, but they like the idea of making a game with these simple nodes and stuff. I've seen recently there was a Spectrum one come out like a couple of weeks ago whilst I was making this, and I was like, wow, okay, other people are doing it. Again, it's not for everyone. I don't know if I like the spaghetti everywhere, so that's why I like the way it's kind of like these readable columns. It feels more like reading a newspaper to me, as opposed to like spaghetti junction all over the place. Although I'm sure there's ways you can make that organized as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with everything. Again, there's a demo on itch. You can have a play. That's this version, 050. Now at 054 or something, I'm at this one, trying to solidify the bitmaps and making a right mess of it. The code is a bit all over the place, but I'm constantly refining it. There's too many scripts everywhere as well, and yeah, it will get there. Trust me. I'm just so happy that I got joystick working the other day, and I'm happy I got the bitmap working last night, although I had a few problems with it this morning, and I just need everything to work: the joystick, the bitmap, the music, everything, and I'm sure it'll be good. In about 2 months' time, check back on me, and I'll let you know. Maybe I'll do another video next month, but I'll try and do a video at the start of each month. It's probably a good idea to let you know where I'm at. And I'll just wrap this one up now, so I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.